Hello everyone and welcome to our 9th lesson for the Literacy Council ESL Online program. I hope you guys had a wonderful week and I cannot believe it's September already. Before we know it, the cold weather will be here. Anyways, after this brief intro in Spanish, we'll get started. Hola a todos y bienvenidos a nuestra novena clase de inglés por parte del Literacy Council. Espero que pasaron una buena semana. No puedo creer que ya es septiembre y pronto nos llegará el frío. Bueno, comencemos la lección. Alright, like always, before beginning the reading, let's go over the vocabulary matching. I hope that you will learn a few words from this. And at the end, whenever we go over the answers, there's a few words that I want to go over with you because they have multiple meanings than the ones that you're going to see here. All right? So, paragraph 1, joint. 2, glitch. 3, nation. 4, version. 5, connection. 6, tournament. 7, award. A particular form of something differing in certain respects from an earlier form or other forms of the same type of thing. B, a prize or other mark of recognition given in honor of an achievement. C, be given, presented with, or paid. D, a particular country or territory. E, a sudden, usually temporary malfunction or irregularity of equipment. F, the action that should not have 2 E's, the action of linking one thing with another, like a computer to the internet. That's obviously like with an L right here. G, a series of contests between a number of competitors who compete for an overall prize. Paragraph 2, 8, round, server, occasion, unprecedented, impacted, outage, and outcome. H, a computer or computer program which manages access to a network or the internet. I, a particular time or instance of an event. J, a period when a power supply or other service is not available or when equipment is closed down. K, one of different stages in a sporting contest or other competition. L, the way a thing turns out, a result. M, strongly affected by something. And N, never done or known before. So look at the words and the definitions and try to get an idea of which ones go with which, and then be looking for the words as we're reading the story, and then we'll go over them afterwards. All right, let's read the article titled India and Russia Share Chess Gold Medal After Internet Fails. Be on the lookout for the words that we went over in the vocabulary and see if you can identify them, and then put it on pause afterwards and reread it yourself. All right? The gold medal for the 44th Chess Olympiad has been shared by India and Russia. The countries received joint gold because of a glitch with the internet. The Olympiad takes place every 2 years to find the best chess-playing nation in the world. This year, it was held online for the first time. The online version of the competition was because of coronavirus. The final was between players from Russia and India. However, some games came to an end after 2 Indian players lost their internet connection. Officials at the tournament said they had no choice but to award the gold medal to the 2 countries. They said this was fair because the Indian players lost time when the internet connection failed. This year's Chess Olympiad started in July. Teams from over 160 countries took place. The final round was not the only time teams had technical glitches. A player from Armenia was disconnected from the tournament server during his quarterfinal match against India. However, on that occasion, officials rejected his appeal. Armenia withdrew from the competition in protest. Officials said there were unprecedented circumstances in the final. They said the online chess Olympiad has been impacted by a global internet outage that severely affected several countries, including India. Two of the Indian players were affected and lost connection when the outcome of the match was still unclear. All right, so just put it on pause and reread it slowly yourself, and then we'll go on to the next activity. All right, let's go over the vocabulary matching. As I had mentioned before, there are some words that you're probably not familiar with, and not familiar with in the context that they use it in the article or use them in the article. So we'll go over those after we finish this. So let's get started on this. Number 1, joint is be given, presented with, or paid. 2, glitch, a sudden, usually temporary malfunction or irregularity of equipment. 3, nation, a particular country or territory. 4, version, a particular form of something differing in certain respects from an earlier form or other forms of the same type of thing. 5, connection, the action of linking one thing to another, like a computer to the internet. 6, tournament, a series of contests between a number of competitors who compete for an overall prize. And 7, award is B, a prize or other mark of recognition given in honor of an achievement. Paragraph 2, round, one of different stages in a sporting contest or other competition. 9, server, a computer or computer program which manages access to a network or the internet. 10, occasion, a particular time or instance of an event. 11, unprecedented, is never done or known before. 12, impacted, strongly affected by something. 13, outage, a period when a power supply or other, hold on a second, I lost my place, or other service is not available when equipment is closed down. And outcome, the way a thing turns out, a result. All right, so hopefully you did well on those. If not, don't fret. Just do it over again, and then hopefully you'll be able to pick up the meaning from the article. All right, the 3 words I want to look at with you are joint. So in this case, it says the countries received joint gold because of a glitch with the internet. And then I also want to look at round. The final round was not the only time teams had technical glitches. And then server, a player from Armenia was disconnected from the tournament's server during his quarterfinal match against India. So I'm going to put up the definitions in the next slides, and then we can look at some of the additional definitions that you're probably more familiar with. Okay, let's look at joint. So in the article, they were talking about the adjective, which is shared by or common to or more, since the 2 countries had a joint award. They shared it together. The one that we are most familiar with is number 3, the movable or fixed place or part where 2 bones or elements of a skeleton join. I will ask you to sort of look through these additional definitions, especially some of the slang where you might have heard I think it'll be interesting to know, especially this one since it has so many definitions. All right, let's do the next one. The next definition I want to look at is round. So we are familiar more with the adjective having a ring shape or having a flat circular surface, or this a noun shape, round shape as a circle, ring, or sphere. But in the article, they're talking more about 25, a completed course or spell of activity, commonly one of a series in some play or sport. The second round of a tournament, which is specifically what they were talking about. They were talking about the round of the tournament that was being played. So again, look at some of the additional definitions and see if you've heard some of these somewhere else. All right, let's go to the next one. The last definition I want to look at with you guys is server. So we are more familiar with a person who serves, like a waitress or waiter, but in this case they're using it as number 7, a computer that makes services as access to data files, programs, and peripheral devices available to workstations on a network. So they were talking about the computer network and how the players were not able to connect to the server. All right, but also look at some of the additional ones. So if you are not familiar with chess, it is a very, very fascinating game. I learned how to play from my brothers when I was young, and I am not very good at it when it comes to playing them, but it is very fascinating and it has a very, very fascinating history. I found a video on YouTube, A Brief History of Chess by Alex Gindler. He is British, but it does have the subtitles in it. And I'm not going to be able to play the whole thing, but if you want to look it up and see the rest of it, it is very, very fascinating. And it'll give you a wonderful 5-minute overview of the game. So let's watch a little bit of it so that you can get an idea. And then please, please, please look it up on your own after the lesson.
The attacking infantry advances steadily, their elephants already having broken the defensive line. The king tries to retreat, but enemy cavalry flanks him from the rear. Escape is impossible. But this isn't a real war, nor is it just a game. Over the roughly 1.5 millennia of its existence, chess has been known as a tool of military strategy, a metaphor for human affairs, and a benchmark of genius. While our earliest records of chess are in the 7th century, legend tells that the game's origins lie a century earlier. Supposedly, when the youngest prince of the Gupta Empire was killed in battle, his brother devised a way of representing the scene to their grieving mother. Set on the 8x8 Ashtapada board used for other popular pastimes, a new game emerged with 2 key features: different rules for moving different types of pieces, and a single king piece whose fate determined the outcome. The game was originally known as Chaturanga, a Sanskrit word for 4 divisions, but with its spread to Sassanid Persia, it acquired its current name and terminology. Chess, derived from Shah, meaning king, and checkmate from Shahmot, or the king is helpless. After the 7th century Islamic conquest of Persia, chess was introduced to the Arab world. Transcending its role as a tactical simulation, it eventually became a rich source of poetic imagery. Diplomats and courtiers used chess terms to describe political power. Ruling caliphs became avid players themselves, and historian al-Masudi considered the game a testament to human free will compared to games of chance.
Okay, I'm going to stop the video right there. As you can see, it is very, very fascinating. In the next slides, we'll go over a little bit about the game so that you're familiar with some of the pieces if you're not familiar with them. But please go back and look at this video, look it up on YouTube, and just watch the rest of it. It is very fascinating to see how it sort of evolved to how the game is today. So the next few slides are basically some information about chess. You have your king, your queen, your rook, your bishop, your knight, your pawn, the chessboard, the draughts, and the piece. And in the next two slides are just how the pieces move and just a little bit of additional information on each of the pieces. So just look through these, and then maybe if you're not familiar with a game, you can try to pick it up and teach yourself, or go online and get some tutorials. It's a really, really interesting game, and I really, really suggest that you guys learn how to play it if you don't know how. All right, before we wrap this up, I wanted to show this to you guys. Usually on every computer, even probably on your phone, if you download the app, you'll be able to get a free chess game that you can play either against the computer, or if you're connected online, play against somebody else. It sort of would be a good way to learn if you're not sure, or to practice with somebody else or against the computer. It highlights, well, usually on this one, it highlights where you can move, and then you can sort of see what
Pawn e5 takes f4.
There you go. Yeah, I guess you can mute it if you don't want it to talk. So please open this up, play around with it, and hopefully you will start picking it up over time. It's really a great game to learn, and it has a very fascinating history. Well, that wraps up today's lesson. I hope that you learned something new, especially about chess, maybe a little bit about the history that you didn't know, or if you weren't familiar with chess at all, some of the pieces and how they move. And I hope that you'll be able to try it out on your own. It's a fascinating game. It's difficult, but it's well worth it to know how to play. I hope that you have a wonderful weekend, and we will see you next week.